All right, we're going live anyway.
All right. Yay.
Yay. Okay, let's make this bigger.
There you go. It's now streaming live on Facebook, and you can take me
Woohoo!
off of the screen share so I can just see
Okay,
your
that's what
lovely
it
face.
is. Stop share. All right.
Hey, hey, all right.
All right. Right at 5:05. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so today's mastermind, we're dealing with meal planning one-on-one, and today's guest is my mentor, Jennifer Nagel.
Hello. How is everybody doing?
And so let me just go through some brief introductions here. So my name is Tanae Walker, and I am a fitness and nutrition coach and a licensed educator and author. And Ms. Jennifer, did you want to introduce yourself, or I can introduce you?
Yes, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Nagel. I'm the owner of Figured Out Fitness. I've been a certified personal trainer for over 8 years, and been helping high performing women get fit, transform their bodies as a foundation of overall health for a while. So that's been my focus for my business. I work with ladies online all over the world and just help them really discover what health and wellness can do for them beyond just six pack abs and a nice J-Lo butt. So that's what I do. Help people really incorporate a lot of lifestyle changes, habit changes, and one of which is meal planning and prep.
All right. So let me just reiterate what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to ask, see, Jennifer, what you don't know about Jennifer, she's like the meal planning guru. That's why I had to bring her on to this master class to talk about meal planning. One thing I noticed about meal planning is it's very effective. You're going to hear a lot of coaches, if you ever hire a trainer, one thing they're going to talk about is your diet, because your diet is 80% of what, if you want to lose weight, 80% of that weight loss is dependent on what you're putting inside your body. So they're going to talk about meal planning. So today we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask her some questions and hopefully answer anything that you have. And if you have any questions that I don't go over, feel free to message both of us and we'll get those questions answered.
Yes, yes. I can't wait. This is one of my favorite topics. So I'm really excited that you invited me today.
Yes, yes. So question number one, what is meal prep?
Yeah, so meal prep, first I'm going to start with a story. Okay, so I want you to picture this. So me and my husband, between the two of us, have 4 children. We have a big blended family, and our oldest is an adult. Actually, now our second oldest just graduated from high school, but we're going to rewind a few years. We had 3 of those kids at home, middle school, high school. We had, different jobs. We were in and out and all the time. And just the stress of figuring out what we were going to eat each night was huge. And we were so exhausted. So even though we know better as trainers, we would go out and get crap because we just needed to feed people. So obviously, that is not what you want to do if you're working towards incorporating more healthier habits into your life, or you want to better manage your nutrition. So for me, meal prep had nothing to do in the beginning about weight loss or muscle gain or health and fitness. It had to do with survival. So the reason we started meal prepping as a family is because we had to find a way to have food ready to go for our children before Child Protective Services came and got us and all this other stuff. So meal planning and meal prep is really just about having a plan, having food ready to go. And there's so many ways that that could look like for every single family or every single individual. So for me, it was really about having a system where I had food available, the family had food, and it was healthy. It wasn't crappy food from, those aisles at the grocery store where you can just grab stuff. Usually not the best choices. So it's really to me about just having a plan of attack and having a plan of action so you have food ready.
Now, when you did your meal planning for the family, did you just go grocery shopping like once a week, and then you basically mapped out exactly what you would feed them for dinner, lunch, breakfast? Is how often?
Yeah. So for us, and this is going to vary, like some of your listeners and watchers might be single or they might just have a partner. And for us, we had kids. So to me, the biggest and most important step in meal prep is actually the plan itself. And we had teenagers and middle schoolers, so it was really important that they had input into what we were having, because I wanted them to actually eat the food. I mean, no
Right.
meal plan is successful if you have leftovers just stinking up your fridge. So
Mhm.
we actually started as a family and would plan the meals out for their lunches and dinners and our lunches and dinners, because at the time I was also competing and doing amateur bodybuilding. So I had a very specific need. But what we try to do is coordinate. So if I was going to have, let's say, like chicken or fish or turkey or something for my meals, the kids would have those elements in their meals, but it might just look a little bit differently. So I've actually created this like meal planning system where I think about all of my protein, whether that's animal or vegetarian, it doesn't really matter. I usually build my meals around proteins. Think about my healthy carbohydrates and whole grains and fruits and vegetables, and think about like a healthy fat, and then add-ons like things like fresh herbs or um, sauces or things like that that make the meal interesting. And then we just pick stuff from each column. So in that way, you end up kind of putting together some really interesting meals, but you also keep it simple and to the point. But having the plan was important. And yes, our family shops once a week. And so we would create meal plans that would last us the entire week.
Now that's what you're speaking of is like it pertains more for the family. Now, can we talk about when you were doing competing,
Yeah, sure.
that meal prep for like not just for competing, but like for, let's say you're trying to lose weight or for
Mhm.
more fitness nutrition regimen, how would that look more so for a single person?
Yeah, for a single person, and honestly, whether you want to lose weight, gain muscle, or just eat well, the meal planning process is still the same. The only difference is going to be your serving sizes. So even if, let's say, like our kids have been all over the place, like sometimes my daughter's with her dad, and Paul's kids are with their mom for the summer. So sometimes it's just us, or sometimes it's just one of us. And so we still do the same thing. The planning and preparation piece, that step is the same. So if you are, though, on a weight loss plan, let's say, the most important thing for you to understand is what kind of calorie needs that you have. And so when you're making a meal plan, I like to plug in my meals or what I think I want in my Fitness Pal. And whether using my Fitness Pal or Fitbit or whatever, Lose It or whatever tracking device or journaling, I like to plug it in advance to make sure it hits my calorie goals or my macronutrient goals for that week. And then I will plan I will say, okay, well, today I'm going to have like turkey rice with some spinach and some other things in there. And then I will plug that into my Fitness Pal, make sure I'm hitting my macro goals. And then that's how I create my grocery list.
So if you were to just think about like some of your top steps for like recommending you for your meal planning, what steps would you recommend you for your clients?
Okay. So if I just, again, start with a plan, start with kind of making sure you like the food that you're planning for. I can't tell you how many times my clients feel like they have to eat these really bland, horrible foods because that's what healthy looks like. I like to start with planning my meals around the foods that I like and then putting those into some sort of tracker, especially if I'm following any particular type of plan. Then definitely have a quick trip to the store. I'm all about lists because one of the great things that meal planning does is it really does help you manage your resources. So you're not buying anything you don't need because you know exactly what you're going to make. So one of the most satisfying things that I love is in the beginning of the week, my refrigerator is packed. At the end of the week, it's completely empty. Well, not completely empty, but it's pretty empty. So plan, pick foods that you like, account for them in your tracker, and then have a plan of action ready to go for your actual prep time. And so I'm not sure if we're yet going into the prep steps, but the planning piece is really, really critical. I like to make sure I have a prep day. So it's prep time. We have a little prep ritual. We turn on music or TV really loud. We're in the kitchen, you know, just enjoying that time. It's just kind of part of our weekly ritual. And we have all the food ready to go, put it in the fridge, and then we're ready for the week. Just grab and go.
Now you mentioned like you have a prep sequence. Does your
Yeah.
like use stuff like this? Like,
Yeah, you can. Like the containers, you can use whatever containers you like, actually. And sometimes depending on who you're talking to. So, like I said, you can make it work for individuals. You can do individual meals. Sometimes you can batch it family style. So sometimes we'll make a big vat of rice, or we'll make a big bowl of ground turkey. And so for some people who want to vary their meals every day, you can totally do that and still meal prep. It's just easier to have the ingredients batched. And so you can just mix
Mhm.
and match and pull from different things, because some people don't like eating the same things every day. For
Right.
me, I don't really care. I just want food ready to go. So I like using individual containers. You can get those types of containers that you showed on like an Amazon. Those
Hmm.
Ziploc Gladware containers. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to close, right?
Right.
So you can do it individually and make individual meals, or batch it. But the my meal prep method, I call the fast dash method, because our goal is to make all the meals in under an hour. And so we've gotten pretty good at that, because nobody
Wow.
wants to cook for 2, 3 hours at a time. I'm ready to
No,
like
no.
eat and put it away and go. So it takes a little bit of practice, but the fast dash method is amazing.
Can we talk a little bit more about about portion sizes? Because I find like with my clients, that you have to make sure that you're eating a right amount of portions. Like women and men have different portions that they should consume. Also depends on if you're competing or not. Your protein consumption will definitely be a lot higher than would if you weren't competing.
Actually, not necessarily. But the key, I think what you're saying is every individual has different needs. And so you can't
Mm-hmm.
just say, okay, I'm going to have chicken. It's kind of like if you have a goal to do something, if you say, hey, I want to sleep more at night. I mean, that doesn't tell you anything. You have to be able to quantify it, talk like, I would like to sleep 7 or more hours of uninterrupted sleep each night. It has to be specific. And same with meal planning and prep. You can't just say, this week I'm going to have, a vegetarian black bean chili. You have to really think about how much you need. And that's why the planning is so critical. Because if you're entering stuff into MyFitnessPal, you must specify portions.
Mm-hmm.
And when you prep the food, you have to specify those portions. So I usually maintain about the same protein level, when I'm not competing, for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the thing is, I still know what my portion sizes are. So if like this week, one of my meals is like top sirloin and mashed sweet potatoes and some asparagus and something else I can't remember I threw in there. Um, but I can't say like, okay, I'm just going to have that, because every piece of sirloin is different. Every scoop of sweet potatoes are different. So I'm like, okay, we'll have a cup of sweet potatoes, 6 asparagus spears, 4 ounces of sirloin. And then that's how I know I'm getting consistent with macros and calories every single time. So if you're looking to lose weight, or if you have a very specific physique goal, you really have to account for what you're eating. And some people like to weigh the food. Some people like to measure
I
it
was
in a
getting
certain
ready.
way.
I was
I already know you were going to ask me. You got the food scale ready to go. But you have to account for it. You have to have an accounting system. And your accounting system can be very, very strict. It could be a little bit more of an estimation, but you have to have a system if you're looking to work towards particular goals. Now, hold up that scale and ask me the question.
foods.
Okay.
So how do you use your food scale?
Yeah, so when I track macros, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, but your macronutrients are just things that are found in large quantities in foods, generally protein, carbohydrate, and fat. Those are macros. Anybody who tries to make it fancier than that, ignore them, walk away. Protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And so I have targets for how much protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and every single food is comprised of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So instead of doing a volume measurement or an estimation, like sometimes people say a fist is about a cup of pasta or a cup of grains, I will actually use my food scale to measure. So if you've never used a food scale, it can feel intimidating, but it's actually pretty simple. Literally, press the on button, put your dish, whatever you're measuring your food in. There's a button that says tare or zero, which basically eliminates the weight of your container, and then put the food in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are measuring like my sweet potatoes, I'll have a bowl and I'll scoop my 133 grams, because that's what a cup of sweet potatoes is. And I'll look at the thing, says 133 grams, and I'll take it off. And that's how I use my food scale. So The interesting thing is a lot of times people aren't sure when to measure foods cooked or raw. So my rule of thumb is I measure pretty much everything cooked except for oats, which I measure raw. So, and that means if I'm having oatmeal, I'll measure out the dry oats as the, however, 40 grams, which is a half cup. Don't ask me how I know these things. I've been counting macros for years, 40 grams. And then I'll make my oatmeal and just eat it. So yeah, food scales are great. They can be really simple, but if you don't have access to a food scale, you can, it's less accurate to, let's say, a half cup of sweet potatoes. You can actually get like a cup measurement. It's less accurate, but at least it's a little bit more consistent than eyeballing and be like, yeah, it's about a half cup. The third way, which is the least accurate but works really well in a pinch or when you're out in restaurants, is using your hand. So the palm or about a deck of cards is about 4 ounces of a animal protein. A fist, if you look at your fist, is about 1 cup. A thumb is about 1 serving of fat. So if you're having butter or avocado or peanut butter or something like that, you can think about a thumb. Obviously, it's not incredibly accurate, but it's something that you can use as a tool so that you have a relative guesstimate of what you're consuming.
Now, when it comes to oils and when you're cooking in meal prep, what particular oils do you use? And then also, do you measure your oils prior to, so you can include that on your meal planning?
Yes, measure everything. If you, here's my thing, like really, it depends on your goals. If your goal is just maintenance or healthy eating, I'm less worried about measurement and I want you to just go by, how you feel. But most people who are working with a trainer or who are working with you today, some of your clients, if you're looking to specifically lose weight, you have to account for everything. Oils are
Everything.
really great, but they also contain, so they're fats basically, which have high energy. They are very nutrient dense, which means they have a lot of calories per gram, which doesn't necessarily make it bad. It just means that it's not free. Like the only thing that doesn't really have calories is water and air, so everything else you
Air.
really should, account for. So yes, I do measure my oils before I cook with them. So I have a stir fry that I make and I use about a half teaspoon of olive oil. I like cooking with olive oil. It's just, I'm not all that fancy. I just have one oil in my cabinet. So it's olive oil and that's what I'm gonna cook with. And I'll use that, but I also enter that in my Fitness Pal so that I have an understanding of what kind of fat and calories that it's contributing to my day.
All right. Um, Now, if you could just summarize, just think about like, actually, no, I have a great question for you. What were some of your pitfalls when you first were starting a meal plan with your whole family? What were like some of
Yeah, that's a great question. Like one of the things that we needed help in the beginning is figuring out how much raw ingredients to buy to make sure that we have enough servings of stuff. So, especially when you're cooking things that shrink. So, I'm not a vegetarian, so we do have animal proteins and I do eat meat. So obviously anybody who's cooked a burger knows that if you make a raw burger and then you cook it, it's not as big. And so I had to start calculating. And so my just rule of thumb is there's like you lose 25% of the weight with cooking. And so using that calculation, I knew how many servings, how much I needed, and then adding 25% to that so I could go out to Sam's Club or Costco or whatever and buy the right amount of ingredients. So that was like one of the biggest things that we struggled with in the beginning because sometimes we'd be like, oh, okay, we don't have enough for these last 2 meals. So somebody's not eating. No, I'm kidding. Or we just have to get more creative. The other thing is in the very beginning, it took us a long time to just zone out the kitchen. So in my meal prep method, which I call Fast Dash, there are a couple things that I do. Number one, we start with an extremely clean kitchen. And each part of the kitchen has a zone. So I'm chopping in this zone, we're assembling in this zone, we're putting the stuff in the pan in this zone, and that keeps everything kind of at its station. So, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm in Michigan. I'm not in Detroit, but I grew up around Detroit. So we have like that Henry Ford's, uh, assembly line style thing going in our home for meal prep. So that's the first thing that I do is zone it out and make sure it's clean. The second thing is we always start with the items that take the longest amount of time to cook. So something takes about an hour or 45 minutes. And most of those things for us are items that go in the oven. We prep those first, throw those in first. And while that's cooking, we go to the next set of items that may take 20 or 30 minutes, like rice or quinoa or chopping and mashing sweet potatoes or something like that. We'll prepare those items. And then the last step, so we still have stuff cooking. We're finishing the items that take about 20, 30 minutes. And then finally, for those last 10 minutes, that's when our really minor, like chopping, or if I wanted to use fresh herbs and something or vegetables. So we'll chop those and get those out last. So that means that at the end of that 1 hour, everything is done and ready to go. And then we just assemble for the last few minutes. So
Now,
that was something that took us a good amount of time to perfect. But that's the fast dash method that I use in order to make sure that we're all prepped and ready to go within an hour. And it just saves a lot of time. So let's do the long method, the long stuff first, middle stuff second, fast stuff last. Everything's done at the same time. Assemble, put away.
now, did you have difficulty trying to get your family on board? Because at first,
Our kids just wanted to make sure they ate. And, as they got older, they were less about the prep food because then they were mobile and they could have lunch with their friends and then they would have practices. So it became more about prepping snacks for them or they would eat at school. But generally, no, like my husband, he was like, we have to do this. And he got really into it. And so as a team, like we still prep our foods. It's just part of what we do. It saves so much time. It saves a lot of money. And now every single day, both of us can go right to the refrigerator and know that there's food there. And it's already prepared because the last thing that most of us want to do at the end of a long day is cook. So to me, it's kind of like the relaxation and the calmness of knowing that I'm opening up my refrigerator and I've got exactly what I need, exactly what I want to eat, and exactly what is part of my plan ready to go. And I don't have to think about it. And the most kind of prep that I do is maybe warming up, or if I'm batching something, just assembling it together. So yeah, our family is pretty used to meal prep. Our kids didn't really have a choice. And then I'm hoping that, we always hope that our kids pick stuff up. I'm hoping that
right.
that's one of the things that they pick up and start doing as they move on in their lives. So now we've got two who are over 18 and then the other two are under 18. So hopefully they're picking up on some things.
Yes, hopefully. But you know what? You instill some great things in them, especially about, how to prepare food and, that family atmosphere
Mm-hmm.
together. That's a memory that they will forever cherish. They will forever cherish that.
Yes. They may not always love it in the moment, but they'll look back when they're 45 years old and be like, our parents were pretty smart.
Yeah, we definitely didn't go hungry. We knew it, and we ate exactly what we like to eat. That's all good things right there.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to pretend that the kids are perfect. They want to eat ramen noodles and junk food too. I just don't buy it. And so we try to at least have food ready to go for them. And they usually like more of the batch style where they can go in and kind of put whatever they want together. Because one kid will take the chicken and put hot sauce on it. And one kid will make tacos out of it. And the other kid will do whatever weird concoction they have figured out with cornflakes and chicken. I don't know. So, we try to give them a little bit of flexibility and leeway, but it's just important for me that they have food and that they know what they're going to eat. It's not going to be junk food. It's not going to be last minute stuff.
I like the fact that the batch system really makes sense. And like, for instance, if you make a big batch of chicken, you can do a whole lot with that. So
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the tacos or chicken and rice or whatever you decide to do, it's already there. Because again, who wants to come home from work and okay, now I got to take it out and I got to thaw it and then I got to cook it.
Yeah. I calculated once how many hours a week it saves. So by meal prepping all at once, if you are spending, let's say, 1 hour or even a half hour every day for 7 days, that's like 4 hours, about 3.5, 4 hours, or up to 7 hours. And basically by doing something once a week for maybe an hour, hour and a half max, including your cleaning time, let me tell you, my kitchen stays clean too. You are saving all of those hours in a week, and you can repurpose that to hang out with your kids, to relax and unwind, to do whatever it is that you want to do. And the other thing that it saves is money, because I know that I'm not the only person who can relate, who can tell the story of, oh, I went to the store and I bought a whole bunch of foods that I thought were healthy. And then I put it in the fridge and I forgot all about it because I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't cook that. And then you have all these wilted, old stuff, food in your refrigerator. So we found that we actually ended up spending a lot less money each week because we knew what we were going to have, and then we ate what we prepared. Kitchen was clean, not spending a lot of extra money, eating food all week. It was a win-win. It was a win-win.
So it sounds like meal prep. This is really can really, how can I revolutionize family time? So you can add more time to your day or to your week, perhaps, because guess what? Instead of taking 30 minutes to an hour cooking every night, you can just do it all in once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Save money, less eating out, because most of the time we eat out because we're so hungry. If the food is already home, if we know the food is prepared at home, and we're less like, okay, let me just go home and eat what's already have cooked.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you have more variety, because if you cook in batches,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to just, okay, I know I just made lasagna, I got spaghetti. You're less likely to be bored.
Exactly. And that's why I like the batch method, because it's like you make a lot of the bases and then you just put it together very differently throughout the week. And yeah, the thing about meal prep is it really just, it saves you time. It saves you all that mental energy. Now, if you are someone who absolutely loves to cook every single day, maybe this is not your thing, but most of the people that I work with, that's not who they are, or they just don't have the lifestyle that allows you to do that. If you're working full time, or even if you're not working full time, your kids come home, they're in 18 million activities, and you just have to get in a car and start driving. Nobody really has time. Our lifestyles just don't support that kind of 1 hour to sit down. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, we love to do that. But if you could just still have a moment where you bring your food together and eat, and you don't have to waste all that additional time like cooking and preparing. And that the other thing, it usually falls on one or two people in the household. People start to resent it. Nobody likes to cook, and then you're fighting. Anyway, meal prep's good. That's my that's my thesis.
Well, I've learned some new things, and definitely within this time of learning more about meal prepping and the importance and how it can really change the dynamic of family and just give you more time, save money, and let alone, we're not even talking about weight loss. We're just
right. But for weight loss, it's great because now you have everything ready to go. Because one of the big pitfalls for weight loss with meals is just like the eating out. People will eat out, or they'll eat something else because sometimes they just don't have their food ready to go. The number one rule when I was competing is always have your food, period, because it eliminates all the variables. It really does. So, if you really do have a specific physique goal, and you've got to stay consistent with your nutrition, and the best way to do that is to have your meal plan, prepped, and ready to go.
All right. I think you have answered all of my questions.
There was a long list too, you guys. She was going to make me work. So I was ready. I was ready for her. But yeah, if people are looking to, work with you and everything, tell me a little bit more about what you've been doing with your business, because you and I have worked together and I helped you kind of get things started and off the ground. So you're a really great coach. So how do people work with you?
When we first started, remember I wanted to build an online fitness and nutrition business. So that's what I've used all the tools you gave me. I use Trainerize. That's the app that I use. And so I create all the workouts, and they're customized. For instance, let's say I have a client that has really bad knees. So there's certain exercises I wouldn't necessarily give to that client versus someone whose activity level is on 10.
Right.
Something really challenging, and just something that's different. So I'm able to customize their workouts, I love the accountability piece.
Mhm.
Right. So I'm able to message them. And let's say I look and then they're not logging in. I'm calling. I'm gonna check.
You hear that, you guys? If you're working with Tanae, you're not doing your job, she's gonna call you.
I'm gonna call you and check on you and see what's going on. And it's funny during this time, during this pandemic, it's a lot of people have turned to online coaches
Yeah.
because we can't go to the gym anymore.
Right.
And when gyms do open, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, or it's going to take some time for people to feel comfortable, or unfortunately for gyms, some have to be by appointment only, or it's just the capacity is not as large. So I agree with you. I think online training, it's been around for a very long time, but I think now with the pandemic, I think
Mhm.
people were really forced to look at different types of virtual options. And so people like you and I who've been coaching people for a while just know that it's a great viable option. And I think one of the things that I enjoy, and I don't know how you feel, is I get to work with people everywhere. I mean, I live in
Yes.
Michigan, but my clients are all over the map. I love it. It's been really exciting to just broaden my clientele and be able to help women from all across the country and sometimes other countries too. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I would love to be international. Right now, I have clients in Maryland, North Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia.
That's
So
awesome.
so the beauty of it being able to help people not just in your state or not just in your local area, but across the nation is really I love that fact.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I really enjoyed working with you and getting off the ground because I love your unique message and how you actually learned how to leverage nutrition to help you have your own personal transformation. So if you guys are watching this and you need a coach, this lady, I don't know, is it this way in the Zoom? Like I think I'm
Uh-huh.
pointing to. Okay, she's really great. She's great. So make sure you hit her up for coaching, guys.
And also, Jennifer, I just want to thank you personally. Thank you again. You're the reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing right now.
Oh, thanks.
Getting the business going and like you laid everything out for me, what I should do first, my business plan, how I should use social media, everything. So again, I really truly thank you for your coaching and mentors and friendship.
Of course. I love helping support new entrepreneurs. So congratulations. I'm glad I was able to do this meal planning and prep seminar with you, and I'm glad things are going well.
They are. So everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to, you can message Jennifer, you can message me, and we'll be here. We are here to help you reach your fitness goals, reach your nutrition goals, transform your mind and your body.
That's right.
One thing about nutrition, one thing about a healthy lifestyle, has to be a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if not us, find someone to really help you maintain and to grow as a person, to grow your in this weight loss journey. And I hate to say just weight loss, because once you even after you lose the weight, you still have to continue to eat healthy and exercise and to continue to grow and transform your body. So yeah,
It's a journey. It never ends. And it's a
definitely a
lifestyle.
journey.
Love that you said it was a lifestyle because that's what
It's
it
a
really is.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you stop, and I noticed even with that with my own personal self, as soon as I was like, oh, I done lost the weight. Okay, good. Let me go ahead and get that slice of pizza. Okay, let me go get this slice of pizza. Okay, and guess where it resided? Right on the side of my right here. So you have to what you did to lose it, you're gonna have to keep it up
Yeah.
and maintain a piece. Make it a lifestyle so it's not so so that also so you can become more disciplined in your eating habits. And I like to say, when it comes to food, I'm not saying no to food. I choose not to. So if there's something that you, and I'm not even saying that you can't do stuff in moderation.
Yeah.
That if there's something that instead of eating that whole pizza, I choose to only eat one slice.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Because when you say I can't have it, immediately you start thinking, what do you mean I can't have it?
And that's all you want.
And then that's all you want. Next you know, you ate the whole pizza, all 8 slices gone because you decided you wanted to have it when you could have just said, I choose to only have one slice.
Mm-hmm.
and a side of salad.
That's right. It's your veggie.
Yes, veggie.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed the time and talking to your audience. And if you guys, you'll see, I'll put my, I'll comment so you guys can always friend me or ask me questions and the Facebook on Facebook or find me. And you can find me at therealjennifernagel.com or at therealjennifernagle on Instagram if you're more of an IG person. And have a great night, everybody.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, May. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.